Good day, Internet. This is Nerdiverse, where we do unrehearsed videos on all things that have been deemed nerdy. Okay, today I'd like to talk about the console wars, or maybe lack of console wars, kind of like a retrospective, not generation by generation, but just like 30 plus years of my thoughts condensed in a hopefully short video. Now, I think, since I'm doing a retrospective, it kind of makes it seem like the console wars are over. And I believe they are, because, let me just, put some bullet points out there. You have a lot of choices nowadays when it comes to entertainment, especially video engagement, you got your Netflix and all your streaming stuff. You got VR, AR headsets. You got smartphones and tablets that game. And a lot of people like those because it's, you already got your phone in your hand, and some of those phone games are addictive. They're like crack or heroin. And then PC gaming's just really taken off because they just don't cost as much as they used to. And with a lot of people working from home or whatever, they needed, a computer to work from home, so they got their laptop or desktop, and they're like, hey, I can game too, so 2 in 1. And then finally, there's less first-party exclusives to any of the consoles. Like, there still are some, but not as much as there used to be. So it's pretty much like it doesn't matter which console you own. They're all kind of the same. They all play the same games. Minus the Switch. Bless the Switch. It's a good little system, but graphically it's behind, a generation. But as far as PS5 and Xbox, very similar. You get nitpicky and in the weeds. Yeah, there's some tech specs, but I think they're very similar. There's some difference in prices and like connectivity and issues, but as far as like actual gaming, they're pretty similar. As far as a game owner myself, currently, got the PC, got the Switch. Love the Switch. Has some good games, but almost always been a PlayStation man, ever since the original PlayStation. But I always have a special place in my heart for Nintendo, And finally, as far as the console wars being over, like I said, I think they're pretty much done. Now people are just buying systems because, oh, this one just happens to be on sale, or I guess you like the pretty logo, or the colors on the console outside box, because at this point, there's very few exclusive titles on any. And heck, if you're a PC gamer, you can get every game anyway. Some of it being legal, some of it not being legal, but you can get any game, and then you can get mods for it. So that's almost the way to go. But I will say this about PC gaming, it's kind of a sidetrack, but we'll go with it. Is I get way more crashes because the computer's obviously doing other things. Even if you close apps out, it's running Excel, web browser, whatever. It's running Windows, which that's probably a headache enough. Whereas a gaming console is just doing gaming, and I'm not sure the programming language each console uses. It's obviously not Windows. So gaming PCs just seem to crash more and just have more slog. Whereas a gaming console is basically a computer that just runs games, whereas this laptop or tower plays games, usually better than the consoles, but it's also doing other stuff. It's multi-purpose, so it just depends where you want to go as far as gaming. But like I said, I think the console wars are over. We'll see. But doing the retrospective part of my video, I think I said that right, but we are moving on. I had a Nintendo, but I don't remember playing it a lot. Maybe it was broken. But I really got into when the Super Nintendo came out. I played it. I remember it was a choice between the Super Nintendo and Genesis, the Sega Genesis. And I think I picked Super Nintendo just because I was familiar with the titles on the back of the box, at the store, like, oh, it's got Super Mario and Metroid, and it's got this worm in a spacesuit, Earthworm Jim, remember that? That's a good game too. Metroid, Castlevania, I was just familiar more with those games. Whereas with the Genesis, I'm like, Sonic? Okay, I know Sonic, I played Sonic. And then it had like Comic Zone, Vector Man, Toe Jam and Earl, remember that? Games like that I'm like wasn't familiar with, so I just went with familiarity. Got the Super Nintendo, been somewhat of a Nintendo person myself, like always had a special place in my heart for it. And then I remember, like, there was some rivalry there with Super Nintendo, Nintendo and Sega. You know, play it loud, and Sega would always be like, Sega! But it really heated up when Sony broke away from Nintendo, because they were going to make a console together, but they broke off, made the PlayStation, and they had this commercial where Crash Bandicoot, that was like the mascot of Sony at the time, you know, invaded the Nintendo headquarters parking lot and was be like, hey Mario, how come you don't have 3D graphics? You know, they were talking about how the PlayStation was ahead of the Super Nintendo at the time. And it was just like, wow, this is gritty and in your face. You also got to keep in mind that this is when wrestling was really popular. So anything that was like edgy and had like teen angst and attitude and you know, the Simpsons eat my shorts mentality, people ate it up. So even if they weren't gamers, they became, I guess, gamers, because it was like, yeah, this is cool, and pop culture, all that stuff. So that's what you had in the mid-90s. Then, of course, the Nintendo 64 came out. I bought it, but PlayStation was better. Like, Nintendo 64 had some good games, but gaming library as a whole was weak. And they just didn't have, I'm not going to say they didn't have a lot of games. They had games, but they weren't good games, you know. And they had no really RPGs. And I like my RPGs, and so do a lot of people. And I think that's why, a major reason why the Sony PlayStation took off is because they got Final Fantasy and other RPGs that people like to play. So they went to that. Plus, you know, just Sony was viewed as cool, and Nintendo was like, that's your grandfather's gaming system. Even though it was what, like 10 years older? You know, if you want to go back to Nintendo, it came out in 85, and the PlayStation came out in 95. Yes, there's a difference. But what I'm saying is, Nintendo had a new console come out, the 64, but they were already acting like it was dated. And it could have kept up with PlayStation if it wanted to, as far as quality. Not graphics-wise, because again, it wasn't disc-based, it was still cartridge-based. But I don't even think they tried. I think they phoned it in halfway through that generation. They're like, whatever, we'll just make, I guess, we'll give in and make a CD-based game console. Then they came out with these stupid little CDs. Probably a bad way of doing that. Little CDs for GameCube. And I thought those were really dumb. Like, why can't you just make regular size CDs? So then I could play music CDs in my GameCube if I choose. And their controller was awful. But overall, I was impressed by Nintendo's quality, I would say. But as far as gaming library, actual gaming library, I've been a PlayStation person ever since. I always believe they always got the best. They just had the best gaming library overall, and then as far as exclusives, I thought they had really good ones, whether it was Resistance, you know, first-person shooter kind of games. Nowadays, I got Horizon Zero Dawn, Infamous, Uncharted, games like that I always liked, so PlayStation wins it for me. And then, of course, you know, you got all your sports titles, your online shooter games that almost all the consoles have, minus the poor Switch. Nintendo's never been one. They were always about being different, and they were very behind the curve, or whatever they were doing over there. They didn't want to do any of that online multiplayer when everyone else was doing it, because they're like, well, if everyone else is doing it, we're going to do something else. How about motion controls? And I'm like, kind of gimmicky. I mean, some games were fun, but it's like, Nintendo always just wanted to do their own thing. And I get it. You want to be different, but I don't know. It'd be like making a car with 3 wheels or whatnot. We just want to be different, or make it with 5 wheels. It's like, don't be different just to be different. And like, you can have your motion controls, just give me internet connectivity. You know, make it so I could play games online. Give us some good games. Like, they were very control freaks. their library, what it was small, and there was some good games, but overall, the library overall was usually poor. They had their, you had your Zelda, Castlevanias, Marios, Metroids. I didn't really like Kirby, but we'll put Kirby in there. Games like that. But that's like what's usually been holding Nintendo up. That, and just, I guess it's more approachable to new gamers and younger. It's like more of a family-oriented gaming system ever since probably the Wii and maybe even the GameCube. It's just more family fun and lighthearted, whereas all the PlayStations and Xboxes have been viewed as like gritty adult male thing. At least adults. Obviously lots of females play games, but in the initial run they always geared it towards 20-year-old men and stuff. Drink your energy drink, stay up till 3 in the morning and play Call of Duty. It was probably harder to market. Stay up till 3 in the morning and play Mario Party, because that would be irresponsible. Nintendo's supposed to be responsible. They can't tell you to stay up late. And never liked Mario Party. The few games I played, I wore out my palm. But yes, overall, I've enjoyed being part of the console wars and the choices and the innovations that came out of it. And I'm looking forward to more that is to come. I really hope Nintendo can just I like the Switch, but can you make it when it connects to the TV? Like, can you at least, can we have current gen graphics? I know you can do it. I mean, what is it? The Steam Deck basically is a portable PC. And then as far as titles, stop being so strict. Let publishers make games for your system. Stop being like, oh, we can't have, like, their sports games, anything that's different, they don't really want. They just want their little, their classic Nintendo titles, and then their random niche titles. Be like, want to play Super Cooker, what is it, Super Mama Cooker or something. They always get these weird games that, I guess they're either from Japan or South Korea, that I guess are big there, but then they try to bring them here and be like, look at this, we gotta fill our library with random games. But yeah. And just so you all know, I don't hate Xbox, I don't hate Microsoft, but never really played those systems a lot, other than Halo. And I really got nothing bad to say about them. And I really had nothing bad to say about Nintendo, other than their library overall is, spotty, iffy at times. And then that PlayStation's library has been solid at times. As far as the actual consoles overall, quality's been good. You had some hiccups here and there. Everyone's been good, minus Nintendo with some of their clunky controls with the GameCube. The N64, I did not like. I got used to it. But the GameCube controller I never got used to. I had to get rid of and get like a third-party controller. I'm like, I have 2 hands only, and they're just normal hands. It's like you had to call over a friend to play an N64 game. And then, yeah. So I've enjoyed being through the console generations, and I look forward to future innovation. I just love video games. I'm not brand loyal. I will go to whatever system that is good, but I respect all the systems. They've all given me good memories. And yeah, thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.